ensayos. Tuvimos una conversación divertidísima y quisiera compartir esa entrevista con ustedes ahora para que también lo conozcan un poco mejor. Así que adelante, veamos. Amit Peled was in Puerto Rico in 2014 for the Casals Festival, but you did a very different program then because it was a recital.
It was a recital, yeah. Came with piano, yeah.
And now this time you're performing with the orchestra. How did you come about selecting the repertoire for this concert? Was it your idea? Was it Maestro Valdés?
Both of us. Actually, when I came to the recital, I feel that now I graduated to play with the orchestra. But, when I came to play the recital, Maestro Valdés came with Marta Casals, and with his wife, and to the recital. And luckily, I didn't know that he's here, so I was not nervous.
Ah, okay.
And I just played the recital. I did a Brahms sonata and many other things. And then he came after and he hugged me and said that it was beautiful, and it was before I got the Casals cello, but I knew that I'm going to get it soon. It was not a surprise, and then he said, oh, you should come and play with the orchestra, and I said, well, there's one piece I would love to do here because I'm sure it hasn't been done here often. And he asked what,
yeah,
and I
had
said
never heard of it, actually. I apologize because I understand that it's part of the standard repertoire, but I don't think we had heard it in Puerto Rico many times, so you're right.
So I knew that in a land where cello is like God,
yes.
Dvořák and Elgar and Haydn and all this has been played many times. So I suggested the Shlomo, and his eyes were lit right away, and he said, yes, let's do it.
Now, this is a piece that has been in your repertoire for quite some time. It has to do with your Jewish roots as well.
Well, I'm Jewish, but it doesn't have to do. I just like this piece. I mean, I also like the Dvořák concerto. I don't like when people categorize pieces to.
No, but what I meant is, I believe you have done recitals that are.
I've done
Jewish, programs that are Jewish music.
I've done, and this piece is close to me just because I really love it. I just think it's great music, and it does bring back memories, and I guess DNA that's somehow in me. And I love the power of this music. I mainly like, actually, to be honest, the tutis. I like to listen to the orchestra play when I'm not playing because it's so powerful. And all I'm thinking about is I want to be a conductor and conduct those moments.
Well, will you be a conductor someday?
If my wife lets me. The problem is that if you conduct, you stop practicing. So she doesn't want me to conduct because I'll stop practicing cello.
Well, you're already very divided because you are an active performer all over the world, but you're also very much involved with your teaching.
Yes.
Which I cannot, I imagine it takes up so much of your time. How do you manage to do both?
Well, I always like to say that if I play too much, I miss my students. And if I teach too much, I miss the stage. So it's just a matter of balance. I try really hard to balance it. I have 16 students at Peabody.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, but I teach 2 days a week when I'm there. I'm never there more than 2 days. But in those 2 days, I call it 2 days of hell because I'm there from morning to night.
Do they know that?
No, I say hell because I give everything I have. And by the end of each day, I go home and the first thing I do is a glass of scotch.
Yes, yes, to wind down.
It's really tough, but it's tough because I like it, because I really give everything, and I always tell them, look, I'm only here for 1 hour a week for you, but that hour is everything, so be prepared, and I do give them everything, and I love to see how they grow and blossom, and in some way it's even more pleasure to me than to create a phrase myself, to see somebody who comes when they're 18 and grow and learn the traditions that I was lucky to learn with Bernard Greenhouse, who was a student of Pablo Casals, with Marta Casals, with all those connections, even to play for them in the lesson on a cello that somebody played who knew Brahms.
Yes, let's talk a little bit more about the cello. This is from 1733, I believe?
This is a Gofriller of Pablo Casals from 1733.
And it is a cello that he used, and a couple of years ago, Marta Casals offered to lend it to you. For how long? Do we know?
We never ask.
Oh, don't ask.
We don't ask, so we don't know the answer. It's better to.
And you're a very tall man.
Yeah.
And that, usually we think that, being tall is very cool, but it's not always great. With the cello, has it been a problem?
Only sitting in the airplane. It's
Ah,
not
okay.
a problem with the cello.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, luckily we have end pins that can go out a lot. So for the maestro it was short. For me it's a little long. No,
because
I
Maestro
see it.
Casals was not a very large man. That's why.
I see it as an advantage to have maybe big fingers and a lot of juicy meat that you can vibrate well. When you play very high, it might be a problem because you don't have enough room. But I've seen people with tiny hands that play really well, and vice versa. It really depends on the player.
And I know that when you first had the chance to use this cello, certain things had to be restored, right? They had to work on it for.
Yeah, well, we call it maintenance basically, because I mean those instruments, it's like an old furniture, and with humidity and dryness for a different season, the wood reacts to it. So if it's